Today's lesson video is on topic 3.5, percent increase and decrease. And in class, I start off showing the setup for the problem and having students think about where they think the values come from. So for a problem like this one, where its original population is 250 and the new population is 200, this is how the problem would be set up. 50 over 250 equals blank over 100. And we're trying to find the unknown percent. So I want you to think about, where do you think the 50 comes from and where do you think the 250 comes from? Okay, so hopefully you've thought about it and you have your guess. So the answer to this would be 20%. And it has decreased because the original population was 250 and it has decreased to 200. Here's another problem. The original paycheck is $80. The new paycheck is $104. Here's the setup. Where do you think the 24 comes from? Where do you think the 80 comes from? This answer would be 30%. And in this case, it's increasing because it goes from 80 to 104. So it's a 30% increase. Okay, so just to go back, the 50 here is the result of finding the difference between the two of these. 250 minus 200 is 50, and the original value always goes in the denominator. So on this one, we have 104 minus 80. That's where the 24 comes from. And 80 is the original paycheck. So you'll notice the 104 is not used in the setup other than to find the difference between 104 and 80. Okay, so we're going to be adding page 43 to the notebook. Please do so now. And add page 43 to your table of contents. So in class, I show this clip. You're welcome to type this into YouTube if you want to see the San Francisco rent increase example that I showed in class. So example 1 on the front note sheet is already pre-done for you, but just to walk through where everything came from, we find the difference between the new rent and the original rent, which is where this value comes from, 6,200. We always compare percent increase or decrease to the original. So the denominator is always going to be the original value. And then to find the percent, we would take 6,200 divide by 1,800, and you get 3.4 repeating. Therefore, if you multiply 3.444 by 100, it's going to become approximately 344%. So this rent has increased 344%, which is kind of crazy. And that's what was on the front of your notes page. So you could write 344 here in your own handwriting, but the answer is obviously also there. So on the inside left of the notes, you have another pre-done example. I would like you to highlight step 1. Step 1 is finding the amount that these numbers have changed by. So in this case, it's 18. 138 minus 120 is 18. And then I'm recommending you highlight 18 and 120 different colors. So whatever color you used for step 1, I would highlight the 18. I would highlight the amount changed in that same color up here. And then the 120, I would highlight a different color and highlight the original amount and highlight the original amount in the setup. And then the rest we've learned how to solve. So you divide, multiply by 100, and the answer is 15% increase because it's gone from 120 to 138. So there is an increase. Okay, bottom left of the notes. The one on the left has already been done for you, which is this one here, Little Falls, Minnesota. So we have the original, here is the original because 2000 is before 2009. So 6,550. We subtract the two of them to figure out how much it's changed by. And then the original, like I was saying, is this one because it's the earlier date. So we divide 524 by 6,550. You get 0.08. If you multiply this value by 100, that means the increase is 8%. Now, I would like you to do try number 1, which is finding the percent increase for Little Falls, Wisconsin, excuse me. Okay, so hopefully you paused the video and you tried it. You want to find the difference between these 2 years, which would be 182. Which of those two numbers is the original? Well, 2000 comes before 2009, so therefore 1300 is the original. Then you're going to do 182 divided by 1300, you get 0.14, and 100 times that will give us our percent, which is a 14% increase. So even though these numbers are smaller, the increase is bigger. The percent increase, that is bigger than this other city. Okay, top right, please pause the video and try number 2. So on this one, we're finding the percent increase of the body length of the frog from sitting to jumping. So from sitting, which is 50 millimeters, to jumping, which is 85 millimeters, we're going to figure out how much the increase is. So find the difference between the two, which is 35. And then the original, in this case, it says from sitting to jumping. So sitting is the original. Now, on this one, you could do times 2. 50 times 2 is 100, 35 times 2. Or you divide and get your decimal, and you will get 70% increase, regardless of the method you used. Okay, if you haven't already, please try number 3 and pause the video. So on this one, it says it wants us to find the percent decrease. So going from Earth to the moon, because this one's bigger and it's getting smaller. So we're going to subtract these two values to see how much it's changed. It's a difference of 123.2 pounds. And then that value over 154, because that's the original. In this case, it says from by what percent does it decrease on the moon? So from Earth to the moon. So Earth is original. You divide, you get 0.8, which as a percent is going to be 80%. And that is a decrease. So from Earth to the moon, there's an 80% decrease in an astronaut's weight. And that's all for that lesson, because in class we'll be finishing the group problems.